Joining me now is Senator Mazie Hirono of the great state of Hawaii, member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Aloha, Senator Hirono.
Aloha.
Thank you for coming back to the Sunday Show.
Good to be with you.
So, Senator, let me play for you what Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said Thursday about Judge Jackson.
Her supporters look at her resume and deduce a special empathy for criminals. I guess that means that government prosecutors and innocent crime victims start each trial at a disadvantage. That isn't my assertion. That is what the nominee's liberal supporters are all saying.
All right, come on now. What's your reaction to the minority leader?
Ridiculous. There's no there. They're still trying to figure out how to go after Judge Jackson. So the fact that she has empathy is a problem for a party that lacks it.
You know, is it right for Republicans to go after, cases she's tried, cases she's argued, particularly on behalf of clients? And I'm asking this because they're trying to make her record as a public defender be a negative. But it's part of the American justice system that you're innocent until proven guilty and that everyone is afforded the right to counsel.
Yep. If they are questioning the fact that she was a public defender. And you're right, Jonathan, how can you have a criminal justice system without both prosecutors and defenders? And of course, we know that the Republicans are always very quick to defend their nominees for the kind of cases they took. As lawyers, we have to zealously represent our clients, and that's what Judge Jackson did. And so for them to go after her for doing that is really pretty ridiculous. And they're really reaching for some way to attack her, and they're still trying to figure it out.
Senator Hirono, speaking of they're really reaching, now, what I'm about to play for you, this is not a member of Congress, this is not a member of the Senate, but this is somebody who has way more power over your Republican colleagues than anybody really should. It's Tucker Carlson. I'm going to play something he said about Judge Jackson, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
So it might be time for Joe Biden to let us know what Ketanji Brown Jackson's LSAT score was. What the hell did she do in the LSATs? Why wouldn't he tell us that? That would settle the question conclusively as to whether she's a once-in-a-generation legal talent, the next learned hand. It would seem like Americans in a democracy have a right to know that and much more before giving her a lifetime appointment, but we didn't hear that.
Senator Hirono, I'm not going to curse because it's Sunday and I'd get fired. But can you talk about why what Tucker Carlson just said is so repugnant?
Frankly, there's very little that Tucker Carlson says that enlightens anybody. And so, what we should be focused on is Judge Jackson's experience, the fact that she has broad support from police organizations, from judges nominated or by Republican presidents. She has broad support. Why? Because she's very even-handed. Something that I can't say about the Trump nominees, by the way. They were not being nominated because they were even-handed. They were being nominated because they had basically an ideological agenda, much of it from the Federalist Society. So the Republicans have a hard time dealing with someone who is actually fair in her approach to deciding cases.
Well, right. And you raise a good point, because when Donald Trump was campaigning for president, and even when he was president, he said flat out he was going to appoint judges to the Supreme Court who would do away with Roe v. Wade, with a woman's right to choose her own reproductive health care. So the fact that they're going after Judge Jackson is quite frankly unbelievable. But one of the things that President Biden said in why he chose to nominate Judge Jackson is that she would follow in the footsteps of Justice Breyer, in that he was a pragmatic member on the high court in the liberal wing, and that Judge Jackson is also temperamentally and from her judicial philosophy a pragmatic person who would join the court. How do you view that?
When I met with Judge Jackson and I asked her what was her experience with Justice Breyer, like what stood out for her, and she said what stood out was the fact that Justice Breyer talked with all of his colleagues, regardless of their orientation, to understand their perspective, et cetera. So she is a person who will talk with the other justices, who will keep an open mind. And I think that's something that the Republicans have a hard time with, as I said. They have a hard time with somebody who is going to be reaching out, listening to her colleagues, and coming to the conclusions, being very fair and even-handed.
And Senator Hirono, how concerned are you, or are you concerned at all, that Judge Jackson's nomination won't make it out of committee and to the floor for a full vote?
If all we were doing was looking at Judge Jackson's experiences, qualifications, the fact that she has broad support, there should be unanimous support for her. So I am hoping that there will be some Republicans who will, in fact, focus on those qualities, qualifications, and competence, and then vote for her. But I know that she will be very well prepared to respond to the questions that will, and whatever attacks may come her way. But the thing that I want to point out is whatever attacks that will come her way will be unsubstantiated, because there's no there.
Right. No, they're there, and she's probably the most qualified person nominated to the court in a generation or more. Senator Mazie Hirono, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday Show.